Zeller, the final question comes from Dr. Josiah Lambert, and he wants to know, given the exploding federal deficits projected over the next 8 years, what particular federal spending program would you want to cut? And or what federal taxes would you want to raise? And please be specific.
Absolutely. The intelligence apparatus has 16 competing agencies. Now, I hold top secret security clearances by both the Central Intelligence Agency and the Department of Defense. I'd like to thank the American taxpayers. You just spent $500,000 on me to be able to access the same pieces of information twice. You're asking yourself, how is this possible? It's because of the 16 agencies, none of their security clearances are valid anywhere else other within their own agency. That is completely wasteful. I'd like to fix that. We spend a lot of money on processing security clearance applications. There's a vehicle we're currently building. It's called the JLTV. It's going to replace the Hummer. The Army found that it's going to cost $600,000 per base chassis of the vehicle. The initial purchase price for the fleet will be $60 billion. The overall fleet cost, when you factor in maintenance, parts, labor, etc., is $300 billion. There's just one problem. The Army also found that it meets absolutely none of the requirements necessary to be used in combat, and yet we're buying it. Why? Because our defense procurement process is completely and utterly incapable of designing a vehicle that will actually serve our military in combat. We need to fix that. There's $300 billion I just saved you. I could talk to you about a stealth helicopter system called the Comanche that was $40 billion that we built and then never used. A Crusader artillery system that was $40 billion that we built and never used, or the F-22, in which we were going to spend around $400 billion, but thanks to the profound leadership of our current Secretary of Defense, he said, you know what, we've got 188 of these aircraft, there's no peer competitor on the planet, there won't be for the next 50 years, we'll stop at these spending at about $180 billion. My point is that if we want to actually get serious about how we're going to spend our money, we need people who understand how the defense budget, the intelligence budget, actually works, because those are our two largest single expenditures that are non-entitlement spending. Now, I'm the only person up here still serving in uniform. I'm the only person who understands what it means to actually have to sit on and talk about the requirements that goes into these contracts. And I'm the only one who's going to actually be voting on policies that wouldn't just affect hypothetical soldiers that I have no connection to, but the actual men under my command.
We have consistently brought forth to the table that we believe we need an across-the-board cut when it comes to our expenditures. We talked about it a little bit earlier, that is a number one priority to us. And I think that cut has to be across the board. I think what we have to start with is we draw the line in the sand. We've said this numerous times before, that this is the level of spending, $3.8 trillion, no more. That's going to force a debate, and that's got to be a debate that's got to be held. And then the next year we go forward and we start cutting 5%, 10%, year after year, until we get to a balanced situation, because my hope is that once we cut the budget on the expense side, you're going to institutionally and organizationally change how the federal government does business. And at the same time, the economy will recover, and we will then get enhanced revenues from that recovery, and that will get into a balanced budget situation. That is a pledge that I've made in writing. We've reached out to candidates across the nation that have joined a group called the Freshman 50, because I recognize when you go to Washington, D.C., one thing resonated with me 3 weeks into the campaign. A gentleman came up and says, Tom, I believe in you. I know you're going to stand for us, and you're going to go down there and fight, but you're one person. And I heard that. And so we started reaching out to people across the nation that feel the same way we are, that we do, and we're going to stand together as a coalition. And that's a voting bloc. That has true impact down in Washington, D.C. My opponent stands up and says, I'm going to do this, I know this, I know that. It's a coalition. You're one of 435 people, and I recognize that, and we're committed to it. We've also taken a pledge that we will not increase taxes. It has to be on the spending side, and through our economic recovery, enhance our revenues through a growing economy. That's the plan we put on the table, and that's what we're committed to. And I do have to disagree with you, Matt. You said I signed a pledge to outsource jobs. Never signed such a pledge. That's not accurate, and that's not true. So the bottom line is it has to be an institutional, organizational change to our spending behavior and our expenditures. The economy needs to be stabilized. Certainty must be brought back to the table so that the private sector will invest and capital will flow again. And through that recovery, our revenues will increase, and therefore you will have a much stronger budget, which will lead to long-term prosperity.
Well, Mr. Reed, you answered one half of the question by saying you would not raise taxes, but the other half of the question was be specific about what particular federal programs you would cut.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I mean, it's across the board. It's across the board. It's a 5% tax cut in the second year. First year, you're going to draw the line at the spending levels that we have today. That's across the board. That means across the board, we're going to have a serious fiscal commitment to cutting how we do business. And that's what we're bringing to the table, because that pain has to be shared equally across all spectrums. And that the issues are going to be brought up. The defense waste, as Matt points out, if that's truly a wasteful program, that's going to be brought up to make sure that we stay within that spending level that we are committed to. There's at least 110 of us that have signed on to that pledge that are going to stand in that coalition effect. That's a voting block, and that's going to be leadership that's going to get things done. It's about time that we come to action. You know, I'm proud to be part of the Tea Party movement. I see some Tea Party members here in the audience tonight, because that movement to me represents what's going on across America. It is not the extreme radical group that some of the media want to portray it as. What it is it's a movement of people stepping forward that say we cannot take it any longer. It's not sustainable, the policies that are on the table, and we want our nation back. So many people have come up and said, Tom, I've never been involved before, but now I am, and I'm firmly committed to it. And I joined in that effort, and that's part of the reason I ran, because that was blossoming as we were making the decision whether or not to run. And I appreciate the support we've received in that movement. And I will tell you that what we're going to do when we go to Washington, D.C. is, I'm just a simple person. I'm just going to stand here, tell you what I believe, but always know my door is open to you. As I said, Emory Houghton is a strong supporter of ours, but he's more than that to me. He's a mentor. And though we may disagree on issues, and we've had discussions on those issues, but as Amo always said, you know, what I like about you is you won't compromise on principle, but you're like me, you'll listen to other people. And our door will always be open, because through that dialogue and through that debate, that's the operation, that's the mode we must become as a government going forward. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. I look forward to more of these debates. I know we have 4 or 5 after this, I think it is. This is good. This is what it's all about. We're not afraid of standing before you and tell you how we feel. And I trust you. And at the end of the day, I trust your judgment. I trust how you're going to vote. And I hope that will be for us. And as the dean said, please vote twice, because we have had 2 elections. You're living in Chicago for a day, you can vote legally twice. So thank you for all your attention. Thank you for your support.
This is what our founding fathers had intended. It wasn't, democracy was not supposed to be practiced in 30-second sound bites on TV. It was supposed to be concerned citizens getting together in forums, hearing their prospective choices for office, truly debate the issues. What you've heard tonight, however, are profoundly different ideas from very different candidates. I'm the only candidate up here that offers real, in-depth plans to revitalize our economy and our district. Plans that will put people back to work, that will protect Social Security, and end outsourcing, which you did. You signed the pledge to the Americans for Tax Reform. One of it is tax cuts that continue to outsource American jobs. And while Tom and I spent tonight, talking to you, Tom talked simply in bumper sticker solutions, ranting on and on about all he finds wrong with America. I, on the other hand, gave you real, honest answers on the issues that face us and a true vision for how we move forward. Tom represents the tried and true failure of the status quo. I'm the future, folks. My generation just went and fought 2 wars. We're coming home. We want jobs. We want affordable education. We want Social Security. We want to be able to pass something on better to our children. I'm the only candidate up here who knows how to lead us to better times. We need leaders who are going to solve problems instead of playing politics. We need real answers, not soundbite solutions. We have so much to offer our country. I mean, think about this. Our district has some of the best colleges and universities nationally. We have the best workers, the most productive farmland, the most innovative ideas, the brightest minds, and if we could just be at the forefront of what's coming down the pipeline in terms of clean energy, we're talking about being able to set ourselves up as the global leaders of the 21st century economy. Now, this election comes down to one simple question. Do you want someone with the character to lead? Or do you want another typical politician that will bring you more of the same? If you're looking for proven leadership, if you're looking for somebody who's already gone off to serve his country and knows what it means to put one's self-interest at the back of the room and say what is good for those of us around us and what's good for my nation, then I ask you to vote for me.
For a cordial and somewhat spirited debate, and I especially would like to thank the audience for its attentiveness and its cordiality and its refusal to get boisterous and ruin the decorum of the debate. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.